Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Omar Rav Nachman Omar Rav Roa Echad Sheshachat. If you witness the shechita, and this is mamash Ma'aser from Chol Yomi, it could happen here in Marrakesh. You know, you could possibly see a shechita suddenly, and you don't know who the shochet is. If you saw the entire shechita from beginning to end, then you're permitted to eat from his shechita. What's the concern? The concern is that the guy doesn't know halacha. He's going to do a drisa, which is very common, meaning he's going to put downward pressure or upward pressure, depending what position he's in, but he's not going to do a back and forth slice. You're allowed to eat from the shechita. Why? Because you saw that he was okay. Bimlav, if you didn't witness the whole thing. Oh, it's lechem shechita. Ask the Gemara, what's the case? If you know for a fact this guy knows halacha, then you don't need to watch him. That's the first we saw. A person is believed to say that he himself did the shechita. It says I believe that was the pasuk, something like that, to the point where the pasuk says you do shechita, you eat. The other and if you know for a fact that he's not a Talmud Chacham, he doesn't know the halachas, pshita, of course you need to watch it from beginning to end. Vela, perhaps there's a third option. You have no clue. You're in Marrakesh. You see a guy that claims to be Jewish doing shechita. You don't know if he's good or not. So what's the tzad? So let's say you don't know. So why should it be okay not to watch him? Because the Gemara says, Lema, there's a svar to say, Roiv Mitzuyim, it's a shechita mumchim hein. We have a Roiv. There's a Roiv that tells me that most people that deal with shechita, you're not going to mess around with shechita if you don't know what you're doing. Most guys, an average person that doesn't know anything about shechita is not going to shech. It's a Roiv. So we go with the Roiv. We just had also yesterday. We didn't even know Roiv. This is for sure Roiv Delesik Haman. I mean, you can't count how many people know shechita, don't know shechita, deal with shechita, not deal with shechita. But we have a Roiv. Halach l'moish Messina, that should have worked. Miloi Tanya, Haresha Matzatana goes shechita b'shuk. You found a chicken shechted in the marketplace. Mamish, mamish, kiss from Hashem. We're just in the shuk. Unbelievable. So this is very interesting. You tell your best friend, Reuven, go ahead and do me a favor. I'm having a party tonight. Shecht an animal for me. You come home, and you find a shechted animal on your countertop. Now you're not sure who shechted it. So we're going to see like this. There's actually three possibilities. You find a dead cow in a heap of garbage in the middle of the Marrakesh market. What does that tell us? L'chayra. What is that? Kosher or not kosher? Very not kosher. A nevela. You find a dead animal in your house on the kitchen table, or you find the dead animal in your garbage can. So if it's on your kitchen table, what does that tell me? It's kosher, it's good. What if you find the dead animal in your garbage can? So that's the shiloh, that's the machlokes really. So let's see inside. You find it in your house, it's great. It's because we have a Raiv. Who shechted it? I don't know. Is it Reuven that I told him to shecht it? It's another guy, but most people that shecht are mumchim. So therefore, why don't we say in our case, if I don't know whether this guy knows halacha or not, I'm in Marrakesh and I see some yid shechting an animal. If he's shechting an animal, he knows what he's doing. Why don't we say the same Raiv? Says the Gemara in our case, Loilam the other Loi Gomer. We're talking about a situation where a guy knows for a fact that this person shechting has no clue, doesn't know halacha. There's two simanim you have to shecht, and he shechted one out of the two, and I saw that he did a great job. But then It happened to me today. I was sniffing those spices, and all of a sudden I had a sneeze. You go unconscious for a moment over there. You're like, you have no idea where. Sneeze, and then you turn around, and the second simon is already shechted. Now what? The chayr should be okay. No good. Mal the same with the high shapir, hachnami shapir. Look, you did a great job on the first simon, so the second simon as well. Kamashvalon haisrumi isramile, beginner's luck. The reason why you did well on the first one is it happens. But on the second simon, I have to be concerned. Maybe he paused. Maybe he applied some pressure, unnecessary downward pressure, instead of just a nice slice. Rav Dimi asked Rav Nachman, I tell Mamish what we just discussed as if we didn't discuss it. I tell my best friend, go ahead, do me a favor, shech me an animal. And I, the balabais who sent my friend to shecht, I come home, and I find an animal that's shechted. Mao, what's the halacha? You could rely on a chazaka that it's a good shechita. Now the Gemara wants to say, what is the difference between this case that I just said, that I tell somebody to shecht, and at the end I find something shechted, but I have no idea who shechted it. Is the guy I told him to shecht or somebody else? To where, similar case, I tell somebody, go, I have 100 fruit in my dining room, do me a favor, take 2 of them, put on the side for the kohen, take another 9.8, put on the side for the Levi, then take another 10 and put on the side for Meiser Sheni. Leave me 80 on the side, basically. 20 over here, 80 over there. Round it up. I come back home, and sure enough, everything is perfect. There's a pile of 80 on this side, there's a pile of 20 on this side. He did his job, but I'm not sure if he did it. Maybe somebody else did it. What's the halacha? Can't eat from it. I don't know who did it. What do you mean I don't know who did it? I told him to do it. But maybe somebody overheard and he did it. And then what's the problem? We're going to learn a Murdik Chiddush. It's a very big problem when it comes to Truma. Very, very big problem. Says the Gemara, first of all, let's get to the question. Manav Shach. I have a problem, dilemma. If I could rely on Mark to do what I ask him to do, and he says he's going to do it, so he's going to do it, I feel Trumanami, then I should rely that he did it for the Truman, and I should be able to eat the fruit. But if I don't have such a chazaka, so then how could I rely on Mark that he did the shchita for me? Why is shchita any different than Truma? On shchita, I believe him, or I don't believe him. I trust that he did what I asked him to do, and Truma, I don't trust it. This is a beautiful, beautiful lashon. You know what? If you want me to answer you, you have to pay me big time. So pay me big time. Or eat a ton of salt, and then you'll be sharp enough to understand. Oh, so he asked him a question. He says, what's the difference between shchita and truma? He says, you know what? If you pay me, I'll tell you. Then what? No, we don't rely on Mark. Mark said he's going to do it. He forgot. But shchita is different. Because let's say somebody else, the Betty did it, okay? But why would he do it if he doesn't know what he's doing? Nobody touches a shchita knife and shechs animals, not no one. But we have a good roiv that tells us that anybody that's doing shchita knows what he's doing. He knows the halachas. But Truma here, this is the punchline. Once you hear this, you'll understand everything. Truma, let's say Benny did it. But Benny doesn't have the right to do it. You can't be a nice guy when it comes to Truma. Truma, you have to be asked to do. You can't just do it for somebody. That's considered doing Truma without the permission of the owner, even though you're trying to do something good for him. Ain't Truma, so Truma, it doesn't work. It works by Shchita, but not by Truma. Says the Gemara, don't tell me I forgot to show this. No, here we go. Okay. Lema, says the Gemara, maybe this whole concept that we're discussing, that there's a rive, that anybody that touches a knife, knows what he's doing, is actually machlokes tanoi. This anya. Harei sha'avdu lo gdoyov v'tarnegoylov v'holach u'matzorim shchutim. A person, his goats, his chickens went missing. What happened? What happened? This big tzaddik stole a bunch of goats, but he shechted them. He's a tzaddik. He shechted and he put it on the side. Rabbi Yehuda Oiser. Rabbi Yehuda says he can't eat from it. So let's remember. It's hard to remember. Rabbi Yehuda says Oser. Rabbi Chanina, we don't need to remember the whole name. Rabbi Chanina ben Rabbi Yossi says Mutter. Or my Rebbe says, Rebbe, listen. I like what Rabbi Yehuda is saying, that it's also to eat when he finds it in the garbage can. But Rabbi Chanina, in those days, you know that it was unbelievable. The closest I ever got is once I went. You know what I'm talking about. You go into Mei Sharim after when they do the fires over there, so they won't clear the garbage for a few days. No piles of piles, and they punish them. You want to burn here. We're not going to take the garbage because they burn the garbage cans, whatever. I was once there. It was unbelievable, like a garbage strike. I think in New York they had one. No, that's it. In the olden days, it was everywhere. There's no disposal, so there's a pile in the middle of the city, a big pile. No. She says, I agree with Rabbi Yehuda. When you find it in the garbage, it's also. That means it's an avela. That says it's mutter when shemitzama bais. We're going to see later on. The Gemara says the Rebbe's not determining who the halach is like. Oh, I like him. I like him. All Rebbe is doing is says that everybody agrees to these. These are pashta things that Rabbi Yehuda is going to agree in all situations that it's mutter, it's also like this, and it's mutter like that. And Rabbi Chanina is going to they're going to argue in the middle case. My love. So what's the machlokes? The Marasav Amrin Roiv Mitzvim it's a shchita mumchim heim. Or Marasav the Gemara wants to say that this machlokes of that Roiv, that we have a Roiv, that people that deal with shchita, they know what they're doing, is actually the machlokes between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Chanina. There's no force to say that. No, you can say everybody agrees that if you're dealing with shchita, you know what you're doing, you know the halachas. And nobody argues in a house, the shari, if you find a shechted animal on your kitchen table, in your kitchen period, it's good, it's kosher. And he threw the nevela. If you have a nevela, you throw it into the ashba shebashuk. Everybody agrees that's treif. Kipli ba'ashba shebabayis. Yeah, listen. It's not a normal thing to put a dead carcass in your garbage can at home because it really smells bad. So that's the machlokes here. Some say yes, it's normal. Most people take it outside to the local dump and not dump it in their house. So Mela, if you find it in your garbage at home, obviously it's kosher. Omar Rebbe. So now we're just gonna finish up what we already discussed this Rebbe and we explained it, but we'll do it inside. Omar Rebbe, near the Rebbe Yehuda Shemutzam Bashba. I love Rebbe Yehuda that says it's asur. We find it in the garbage. My ashba. What does it mean? So listen to this deal. It's kedai to listen. Pay attention over here. The Gemara's medayik. My ashba. Where is it asur? My ashba. It can't be the one outside. How's the kuliyahu? Everyone in the room here. When I asked them in the beginning, if you find the dead animal in the local, what is it called? Where they throw dumpster. Local. Landfill, in the local landfill. It's l'chayra treif. Everybody agrees to that. So what does it mean you found it in the ashba? It can't mean the local dumpster, the local landfill. It's talking about the garbage in your house. And on that Rabbi Yehuda says what? Asur. So I have a contradiction because in the Sefer I could do the exact opposite deal. Rebbe says, I like Rebbe Chanina when I find it in the house. My bais, what does it mean house? I found it on the kitchen table. Everybody agrees if you find it on the kitchen table, it's mutter. It must be in the garbage can in your house, what we saw this guy finding. And on that, Rebbe Chanina says it's mutter. And Rebbe Yehuda says it's asur. It's contradiction because Rebbe says, I like Rabbi Yehuda who says it's asur. I like Rabbi Chanina who says it's mutter. So kasha the Rebbe ad the Rebbe. To that the Gemara says, no, Daf Yud Beis and Beis. Hachi Gamar. Near in Divrei Rebbe Yehuda, Rebbe didn't come to say I hold like this one or like that one. That wasn't his point. His point was that everybody agrees to certain parameters here. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Chanina likes what Rabbi Yehuda said. What did Rabbi Yehuda say? That it's asur? When we're talking about the local dump, that even Rabbi Chanina agrees that it's asur. He only argued on the house one. And then Venirim, the opposite. In other words, everybody's in agreement that if you find it on your kitchen table, it's mutter. And everybody's in agreement they find it in the shuk. Rebbe wasn't making, I hold like him and over here, and I hold like, all he's saying that everybody holds that. Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Chanina don't even argue when it comes to the local dump, that it's 100% treif. And if it's on your kitchen table, it's 100% mutter. The whole machlokes was in your kitchen garbage. That's where the machlokes is. Okay. Next again. Chutz mecher shoyd v'katan shemi kalkul shchitasan. So cher shoyd v'katan cannot do shchita because they might ruin it. So the Gemara Dayik shem kilkul lo yiktari. It doesn't say maybe they ruined. El shem yikalkul, they will be mekalkul the future. Amarav as a semeres a moisrim lem chulin lechatchila. You cannot give your simple animal. You're nothing to do with kachim. You can't give it to a cher shoyd v'katan who don't have das. The Chullin sheshachtu v'acherim royin noisam shchitasim ksheira. Man tana deloi be'inun kavana l'shchita. Who's the tana who says that you don't need to have kavana when you do shchita? In other words, you can do shchita if you did it properly. You didn't do drisi, you didn't do shihya, you didn't do chalada, you didn't do all this bad stuff. So it's a good shchita, even though you didn't mean to do it. So who's the tana? I guess it's machlokes, like Ari Chaim would said. It's machlokes whether or not you need kavana. Says Gemara, here's a crazy situation. Omar Rava, Rebbe Nasani. It's Rebbe Nasan. Tani Yeshaya is here, them in Chavraya. Zorak Sakin, here's a case. A guy is taking knife practice, he's throwing knives, he's practicing that, what is it called? It's like, all right, Zog the Gemara. So here, check this out. It's a crazy story. The guy is throwing a knife through the ear, and unbeknownst to him, there's an animal walking by. Mamish animal, and it gets its neck a shtickle fashechted. The Tani Shai is here. The Mechavrai is Zorik Sakin the Nasa Bakoisel. B'Halcha v'Shachta Kedarka. Rav Nasa Machshir. Rav says why? Because you don't have to have kavana. You don't have to have lishma. B'Chacham Poisel. Who Tani La Rabbi Shai himself says it. V'U Amar Lan, he explains. Halacha Rav Nasa. The halacha is you don't need to have kavana. You threw it, you didn't mean to kill an animal. There was certainly no shihiyah because it went. There's no drisa because there's no downward pressure. Maybe there's a begim on the knife, so you'll check it out afterwards. Ask the Gemara, but you have to go back and forth. So look what the Gemara says. It's one of those Gemaras that makes you wow. But I think like all those Gemaras, some of them like I don't understand. How's it possible? The point is, we're talking about a theoretical thing that maybe never happened, never will happen. But halachically, would that be a good shchit or not? Let's say it happened. Let's say. Let's say. Shahalcho ba, I know exactly what Avi is thinking about, what sugya exactly. I know exactly what he's thinking about. It's mamish similar to that. No, where the guy made a box and a whole diagram. No, we're going to go weiter. We're not going to explain. Obviously, if he made a box, it's a good sugya. But is it possible? I don't know. That's not the point. The point is, theoretically, what does the halacha say in a case where a guy throws a knife and it hits the wall, bounces, and it slices the animal's neck, bounces off the wall and comes back and slices it again? Is that a good shchita because there's zero kavana? Says Rashi that you don't have to say such a crazy situation where it bounced off the wall, came back. All you need to say, you threw a very long knife. Because as long as it's two necks, you have a neck plus another neck, then it's okay. Then it's a good, you only have to go forward. You don't have to go forwards and backwards. One more small sugi here. So I want you to take a pencil, if you have one, and write over here that the word machshava doesn't mean a thought. It means to speak it out. If a small child tells you what he meant to do, can we rely on that or not? No, the marshal. If he's shechting an oila and he says, I shechted this oila, he tells you, I shechted a lishma. Could I rely on him? So Rabbi has a great cash on him. He says, listen, why did you mention machshava? Do you not know that there's a Mefurish Mishnah that talks about Maisa? And since the Mishnah over there talks about Maisa, the Mishnah also talks about machshava, and we have an answer for your question. How come you didn't ask me about a full-fledged action? That what? Why didn't you ask me? The reason is very simple, because it's a Mefurish Mishnah. So you didn't ask me a Mefurish Mishnah. A kid has a Maisa. So if so, in that same Mishnah tells you what the halacha is with Dibur, and then I know the answer. So why are you asking me the questions? I'm a Mefurish Mishnah. What's the case? This not yesh la Maisa machshava. This not ein la machshava. A kid's machshava or dibur doesn't count for anything. This not. Ha'aloin, if you have an acorn, v'arimain or pomegranate, v'egois, or not, shechakakum tinoikos, that the kids took and hollowed out, let's say pomegranate, or they hollowed out a nut. Lam ben mafur, in order to fill it up with dirt. Oishit kinum lekav moiznaim, they used it as one of those old-time scales. So they needed a second part. So they hollowed out a fruit. Why did they hollow it out? To make it a kli. Oh, they made it a kli, tmeim. Why? Maybe they sheyesh no ma'isa. That's something physical. Ve'el machshava. I didn't have a question on dibur. What happens when his thought is understood through his action, without talking? In other words, you're going to have a here, the classic case. We know that korbanos, mostly korbanos, especially kachim, have to be done in the northern part of the Chazarah, meaning if your mizbeach is that line, has to be above that line, not below the mizbeach, which is darim. So if a kid pulls an animal from the darim to the tzafin, obviously he knows what he's doing. Obviously he's trying to shecht an animal, let's say an oila, lishma, in the right place. So that was my question. My question was something that's not in the Mishnah. It's something in between. It's not a full-fledged maisa, and it's not a dibur. It's a maisa that tells me what his machshava is. You're going to have a kaim oila b'dor ma'aseh b'tzav mishachata. Mai, what's the halacha? Ma'aseh b'tzav mishachata, he kaven la. Obviously, he knows what he's doing, so he had kavana. Maybe the fact that he took it from the south to the north is only because he didn't have enough room over there. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day, a wonderful evening. Yishakaya.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDY.com.